Hi there. It's been a hot minute. Welcome back to Zach Daniels Gaming Journal. I've been debating whether to talk about what I've been doing or what I've been thinking. And today it's what I've been thinking, because I had a conversation today with a couple of guys about what an RPG is. Obviously, it stands for role-playing game. And it's my, I don't know if it's a personal opinion or if is there such a thing as an objective opinion about words? Definitions? Probably not. Anyways, RPG comes from role-playing game, and role-playing games started with pen and paper and sitting around a table, rolling dice, making characters, and there was a narrative and there was choices. And a role-playing game meant a game where you play a role of a character, and things happened, and you had to make choices. And your character grew and got better, got equipment, got abilities. Eventually, that turned into video games. Video games decided, hey, we don't want to just jump around and do score attack games and eat up quarters. We want to make a story. However, they lacked the technology to put in branching paths and choices and stuff like that. So, role-playing games for video games evolved its own corollary definition. Am I using the word corollary right? Probably not. But a role-playing video game is not the same as a role-playing tabletop game. And it seems that the general consensus for what a role-playing game is, or an RPG, at the barest bones, is you control a character or a party, and you go through a story with quests, and your character has some sort of growth or development, generally in terms of gameplay, whether that means new abilities or acquiring an inventory of goodies. So, in the barest bone sense, Dragon Quest 1 is an RPG. You go through a story, but there's no choices. You don't affect the narrative at all. But you do grow stronger. As you go, your character develops. It's an RPG. Likewise, Baldur's Gate 3 is an RPG. You not only do you control several characters who grow and develop, but you affect the story and the narrative changes based on what you've done. They're both RPGs. One of them is more nuanced in that the story is affected, but in both of them, you control a character going on quests through exploration, and you get stronger, or you develop as a character or as a party. I think that's all it takes. That's all we need. We don't need a more niche definition. We don't need to box things out. We can have a broad definition of RPG. This brings up the question, somebody asked about Mario being an RPG. I said it's not. Well, you get mushrooms. That makes you grow. That's the first thing you do. That makes you physically grow. It's a temporary buff. It's not a power-up. It's not your character growing in terms that anyone would consider character growth. It's literally Mario gets bigger when he eats those super mushroom. So that was a little eye-rolling when I read that. But Mario's not an RPG. Zelda is an RPG. Even if you go to Zelda 1, that's an RPG. Because even though the story is the same and you can get all the abilities, by the end of the game, you're going from point A to point B. And you're getting stronger. And you're developing as a character. And you're exploring and doing the quest. I think that's all that matters, is having this broad definition. And I think it's okay that it encompasses apparently the vast majority of games. That's totally cool, because it's a mechanic, and it separates us from, or separates games from being something else. There's arcade games are not RPGs. You start at square one and you get a high score. And Pac-Man is not an arcade game. I mean, Pac-Man is not an RPG. Tetris is not an RPG. Um, Racing games are not RPGs. I haven't played any sports games, but I imagine that they're not RPGs. It's not like your soccer team or your baseball team is getting new abilities by the end of the season that they didn't have at the beginning of the season. Um, so I wouldn't call those RPGs because there's no character growth there. And there's lots and lots of games that aren't RPGs. And it's important to have the definition RPG, and it's okay that it's broad. So, anyways, I think I've said the same thing several times in a row, just in different ways. So, I'm curious what you think an RPG is. Should it be a niche definition that boxes out as many games as possible, or can it be a broad definition? I obviously have made it clear that I like the broad definition. So, yeah, just what I've been thinking about, what I've been talking about. A couple of guys. And as usual, I'm the odd man out. I'm the contrarian who has to argue with everyone because I don't know. George just lucky, I guess. Thanks for playing.